So, good afternoon, all. Good morning for all the friends who have joined from US and other parts of the world. This is Kuntal Chatterjee from Berlin, welcoming you all again for this first GXP Fund Consulting Group Conference in association with Pharma Circuit. Here, I'm extremely privileged to welcome Mr. Vipul Yamdagni. The story started with myself. He was the man, he's the man, whom you can see on the screen. He is the man who put me in the pharmaceutical industry. I came from Aurangabad just after my studies and applied for a walk-in interview at Dr. Reddy's. And he was the boss, he interviewed me and I got an opportunity. And that's the reason I am here, so thank you, Vipul, sir, for coming here, for gracing this occasion.
You are always welcome.
Extremely privileged to welcome you for this conference. So Bipul Krishnan Yamdagni is a seasonal, expert. He's a seasoned quality assurance professional with a strong analytical frame of mind and a result-oriented approach. He has spent over 34 years in the industry with major pharma organizations like Sriram Institute for Industrial Research, Morapan Laboratories, Dr. Reddy's, where he recruited me and he held senior, he was head of quality control and quality assurance. He led senior positions there at Dr. Reddy's, then Ranbaxy, Sun Pharmaceuticals, Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, again holding strategic leadership positions. Quality is the pillar of any pharmaceutical industry, and it takes a lot of guts to be head of quality. You have to be a you have to follow all the ethical integrity and all that, and overall, make the product, pass or fail. So it's a very good position, and also it's a strategic position that Vipul sir held. With his diverse understanding and experience across departments like R&D, supply chain, manufacturing, project management, business operations, and analytical research, he has spearheaded multiple ventures of setting state-of-art manufacturing and quality systems and facilities, ensuring on-time deliverables and GXP compliance. He is well known in the industry for his excellent technical knowledge, communication, interpersonal skills, team building, and problem solving. I can bet him for all these years I have known him. He's an excellent person to work with. And Vipul is the lead quality advisor at GXP Fund Consulting Group. With that, I'm extremely happy and privileged to welcome Mr. Vipul Yamdagni for the next talk. So the stage is all yours, sir. Please.
Thank you very much, Kuntal, for your very nice introduction of me. I am here because of you people, and I am very privileged that I am working with people like you around me. As good morning, good afternoon, friends and colleagues. And you are all welcome to Global Pharmatic Summit on the occasion of global launch of GXP Fund Consulting Group. The today's topic, what I am going to discuss here with you, I always discuss. I never give a presentation. So this is what I want. I'm here to discuss quality metric development of for laboratories. Basically, this is not a new topic. Uh, Most of the industry is aware of that we require to measure our performances, and people are doing it somewhat may. But FDA now, because of regulators also interested very much and looking into a new scenario of COVID, where physical inspections are becoming day and day difficult for the regulators, quality metric is going to play a very important role in the life of pharmaceutical companies. In 2015, FDA already has issued a guideline, and very recently they have issued a revision one also. Many consulting group working with industry leaders in India developing quality metric. However, the FDA requirement is a bit different, but very clearly they have explained in their new revision of a guideline that management or company should not restrict to two or three metric they are asking for. It is just a beginning. People should look at their business at their own understanding of their business, what makes what is critical for them, what are risks for them, and then accordingly develop metric for themselves, not for FDA. This is what my thinking process is very much different. So before explaining my thinking process, let understand what FDA goal is. So look at that FDA goal. I will quote a quote from Janet Woodcock said that, and defining the FDA goal is what FDA is expecting from pharmaceutical industry, a maximally efficient, agile, flexible pharmaceutical manufacturing sector that reliably produced high quality drug without extensive regulatory oversight. And this particular quote is not now in a scenario of COVID. This has been presented somewhere in 2015 or so. FDA has come up with many approaches like risk-based manufacturing processes, or even ICH is also talking about. So, what basically responsibility lies with whom? Responsibility lies with the pharmaceutical sector. And this is also important that regulatory assurance or regulatory agencies, they when we talk about overseas inspection, like in India from US or Europe, inspector, whether two or three inspectors or one inspector came in India or somewhere to visit a facility which is producing 400, 500 batches a month for 4 days, 4 to 5 days. Sorry. Then how you can expect that they will be able to understand that quality, the assurance of quality? They can only do the sampling. So that is what we should believe ourselves, and we should take care of ourselves. Let us see that what is metric. And I believe most of us understand what is metric. If you go for a Google dictionary, the definition is that tool which proactively understand and measure quality, identifies problem area, and implement appropriate corrective and preventive action. So what it means? So a tool, this is nothing but a tool. Tool for what? It is not a data generation exercise. Most of our colleagues and friends in industry, they understand, yes, another report to generate. Because if we only generate data and leave it, then there is no benefit of it. How we can utilize, how we are utilizing the metric to make decision making, to identify problem areas, and implement appropriate corrective and preventive action. So when we say CGMP, it's a current or continuous good manufacturing practices or improving the practices we can only have when we have a stable, robust, thoughtful performance management system, which is nothing but a metric for a pharmaceutical organization. So just look at little bit more detail. What is quality metric? A standard of measurement by which efficiency, performance, progress, or quality of a plan, process, or product can be assessed. So now we have to ask ourselves that what we are measuring as of now. If I would have done a poll, most of the people will write efficiencies. But if you ask management, they are more interested in efficiencies. If you are asked regulators, they are more interested in compliance parameters. If you are asked R&D, they will be more interested in dealing with project management of a product development. If you are asked customer, they are more interested in product quality, sustainability. So depending upon nature of a customer, the definition is changing. But in my understanding, everything is important for running a good business, or having a profitable business, or having a sustainable business. So what metric, again, I will read through the metric definition again, which is a quality metric, a standard of measurement by which efficiencies, one important aspect, performance, you can consider compliances, progress. What do you mean by progress? Progress means when you are setting up a target for a year and you achieve that, what you should do. So there is a stress, targets are required to monitor the continuous improvement. Today, if our OS invalidation rate is 60% or 70%, which is a very general trend in Indian industry, so we should target first 50%, and then we can take it to 20% or 10%, whatever is physically possible. So it will help in progressing and quality of a plan or a process. So that is what the definition is. I believe this is what is will be thinking process behind putting away metrics. So most important aspect that Indian industry run basically regulators of US FDA and European agencies, because why this also a question that why Indian pharmaceutical fear more US FDA and European agencies, because again the answer is business. So when you are doing a business, and most profitable business we do with US market and European market. So that is what we are more keen in looking at how and what is progressing in FDA, what is progressing in MHRA, what is progressing in European Union, what are new regulations are coming in, and that is what if we need to supply or cater to those market, we need to comply to those. So what is FDA perspective with respect to metric? So FDA expects industry to encourage the implementation of a modern risk-based pharmaceutical quality assessment. And this is what ICH Q10 also talks about. And FDA also expect, and a risk-based approach is not new. Again, it is a 20 years old approach. And FDA also come up with 21st century pharmaceutical world, which is also greatly talk about risk-based pharmaceutical quality assessment. So anything which is whatever we design, whether it is a facility, whether it is a process, whether it is a product, whether we recruit people, everything has to be a risk-based. So when you are recruiting a people, and people will ask me why recruitment of a people require a risk-based approach. This is look in a market when you look for a manager, you get a very good manager, but you also have to ask yourself for what is your need and risk area for which you require to manage. And if you do not know, you may get a person who is not fit for your organization. So that is also very important when you people in manufacturing know that when they are buying equipment, they always do that risk assessment. When we design a process, we always do a risk assessment. When we develop a product, we always do a risk assessment. So risk assessment is a key, and FDA fully expect industry to have a full-fledged risk assessment approach. Then, as in the last presentation, you have seen that there is always a need. When Subrato was talking about innovation in sterile manufacturing and then understanding processes of rapid microbiology, they implement a state-of-art innovative quality management system for pharmaceutical manufacturing. One thing is very important when we are talking about that anything which is important 5 years back or 10 years back or most recently yesterday may not be good today. So, and that is what, because that particular system and design, so always respect and try to innovate new things based on the need and requirement. And that is what FDA expects from industry. And not least, but the most important part, to promote consistent reporting and counting of quality metric data. So they are expecting that we should have a very well designed system of consistent reporting and counting of quality metric data. And very recently, I was going through a revision in quality metric guideline, which is issued by FDA this year. So if you look at that they are very clearly saying routinely use additional quality metric beyond the metric described in this guidance. They are specifically mentioning because industry is not in agreement and a lot of discussions are going on. Now FDA has told to give very clearly given 3 metric to monitor. Sorry. So what FDA is asking us that you please do not restrict to those recommendation or advised by FDA. We should have a detailed quality metric beyond the metric described in the guideline in performing product and establishing specific evaluations of a process of a product or a plan. What are the benefits? Quality metric help organizations by compelling to measure performance both inside the organization as well as competitive environment. What this mean? Now, when you develop a quality metric, we can understand that quality metric within the department means QC, raw material section, stability section, finished product section, and similarly in quality assurance and QC. Within sub-depart functions like manufacturing, engineering, production. So we can have metric defined in a way that if we want, we can measure performance within the function, within the company, within the plants of a function. Say for an organization which is having multiple sites catering to same market, we can develop a metric to monitor their performances and to understand which site is not working at required standard, and a particular set of metric will give you whether it is a efficiency area or productivity area or a compliance area. Within the compliance itself, what are the weak areas of one site may not be able to complete or conclude or close the quality attributes, or basically within the standard timeline, but one is not investigating properly. So, and our industries, again, it all depend upon if the openness and within the industry allows, we can share these metric within the companies also, so that we can have a very good competitive environment in future if that is possible. Using data and analysis in decision making, and this is also very helpful for a product if you are having very less first time pass, very less percentage of first time pass, or you have lot of process deviation, or you have a lot of OS recording for that one particular product. You can very well decide to stop that product or suspend that manufacturing proactively before regulator finds that and ask you to recall the product from the market. So this is what the benefit when you take decision. And again, people are writing APRs. We all write APR because of a regulation. So one thing we have to understand that whether we have to comply to regulation, we normally write a document which is called annual product review. But do we really use it? The lot of data what we generate in that, because the trend analysis what we do, it is purely based on product within the specification. That will not help us. So we have to very clearly define the definition of a metric, what we are designing, boundaries of a metric, and method of how we measure those metrics, and what we are going to do with that data. So if people are not clear why we generated data and why we investigate or review a metric, down the line people who are collecting a data will not understand and will understand a burden of work, because they will believe that we have to test the sample, review the reports, and then we have to report, and in addition to that we have to generate data also. So what way it is going to benefit? So we have to very clearly understand the benefit of that particular understanding. Challenging the organization to extract larger meaning from data and information. You can very well calculate, you can very well challenge the number of equipments and number of people you have. So based on that understanding of a metric, you can very well justify your people, or you ask for more people or more machine, or you can reduce vice versa if you have more number of instrument and more number of people. So this will benefit the organizations, nothing like that, that you will achieve optimal productivity and efficiency and a compliance level, and then financial benefits also will be there for organization. So keep on challenging yourself. That is what metric mean. And a set of metric may not hold good for continuously. You may need to change or detail based on understanding of your business. So every 1 year or 2 year you need to review them. If you are already achieved a target and there is no scope of further improvement, then monitoring of that may not be that frequently required. So frequency of monitoring also can change, and you can add additional one where you feel you have more risk to assess. Understanding the area of concern, enabling proactive assessment of issues beforehand. This I have already given two examples to you, that we can proactively understand the product quality and stop product recalls and failures in market complaints. Similarly, we can, like in a sterile operation or a solid or oral operations, if we are getting more colony counts, then we can very well understand that proactively there is a need to review the whole HVAC system, people management, people movement, and the design aspects of that particular facility itself. And the last, in not the last, the monitoring of QC system and processes and driving continuous improvement. So this is what basically quality metric can help organizations to achieve. Let us see the metric elements we have to deal with it. In my view, anything which is process driven can be monitored, and we can have elements which can monitor the performance. So look at that finance, production, efficiency, product, productivity, compliance, people, safety. Those are the few areas where we should, and where not we should, we are monitoring performances. Financial metric is very important. For example, percentage receivables and percentage of capex per unit of business, percentage revenue expenditure, percentage of money spent on manpower. All those financial parameters are important for running a business. Similarly, in a production, first time right, meeting adherence to the schedule, no back orders, no deviations in production, or something, those number of deviations in the production, and the percentage yield are critical for production. Similarly, if we talk about safety, number of critical events happening in the site per person, per function, per department, product, number of batch failures, and number of product which is not sustainable or having a robust quality understanding. So these in compliance we have many parameters like change control, deviations, recall, complaints, so many, and then productivity. Let us see. So that is what you name the topic. If that function or area is critical to you, or you are having or facing lot many problems, and you are getting lot many surprises in some areas, like some products you are running from last 5 years which are running beautifully, and then as a surprise it start failing every fifth batch or 10th batch or 8th batch, then you can understand that you require a metric which can monitor your product. If you have many number of change controls and deviations pending from months together, and people are not able to complete them in time, then you may require to add those components in your compliance metric. If your samples are pending and finance is always creating a issue out of it, that they are not able to pay out to the vendors, then certainly you require to bring that measurement into the metric so that you can reduce that number of months to a set agreed month with the management, where this agreement is certainly required to set up a target. So let us see little bit in more details. Now, before starting on this slide, that I have a very different understanding of a metric, and it is very difficult to develop a specific metric for quality control. So you will see some overlap, and you will see some of the critical metric which you believe is not altogether there. So that is what I have said in the beginning. This slide is a snapshot of a thinking process which people can select and leave. And in addition to that, this is what the help of consulting company or some management is required. In your company, a senior management can help you to understand what is important and critical for a company. So we require to review the data, we require to perform analysis, and then we have to derive that which area are critical for which work function. And then accordingly, then we have to define them. We have to give the definition, we have to define the boundaries, and then we have to set up targets and other things. To start with, most important, the compliance one. First time pass in QC perspective. OS out of specification, aging and closing rate, invalidated OS rate. FDA is very much interested in this. So what is the difference between the second bullet and third bullet? The second bullet is telling us how effectively and efficiently we are managing the non-conformances. And third bullet is giving the status of our QC management, whether you talk about equipment management or instrument management, people capability, competency, design of methods and processes. So number of invalidated OS is more. It means that laboratory has a confirmed error. And laboratory has a confirmed error, that means, and that is to be industry understanding, is somewhere 50% is almost everywhere. In most of the Indian companies, they have this data. And some companies, they may have 70-80% also. So there is a straightaway need. We will come to know then when we know in some plant that this is more, that there is a specific action plan required. Lab deviation, incident aging, this is specifically to lab, aging and closing rate, CAPA. When you say CAPA, corrective action and preventive action, you have to monitor them separately. So you have to be very clear what is CA, what is PA. And when you are monitoring it, you should not monitor them together, because FDA expects that you should know them separately. And you should be very clearly understanding when you are designing a CAPA, whether it is a CAPA or not a CAPA. So aging, closing, and repeat rate is very important. What is happening when you have a repeat kappa? It means, one, what could be the probability that kappa itself is not correct? Second, it means that our investigation of that particular issue happened is not done properly, which is leading to a wrong kappa and which is leading to a repeat failure and repeat kappa. Or if same kappa is appearing number of times, this understanding gives you a very clear understanding that implementation you have a problem. Means whatever kappa is defined, you have not very clearly defined what and how to implement. Or if you have defined them correctly, then it means the person who is implementing is not doing his job properly, and the verification system is also not effectively working. Investigation, one of the major cause of 483s and observations from European agencies nowadays for companies. So this is also very important thing, to whether the SOP structure itself is a problem or some other things required to be done. Audit, observation, compliance, rate and effectiveness. This audit, when I say, this is also an important leading parameter, because when we say, you should not only look for regulatory audit, you should give the most importance, more than regulatory audit, to your own internal inspections, customer inspections, in addition to regulatory inspections. So that's what the metric, when you derive, you have to think through it. Productivity, When we say turnaround time and all type of samples, you should fix up some target time. If it is not possible, then you can decide the critical samples, a finished product or raw material and packing material you can start with. How to fix those limits, I will elaborate this in next slide. But the target should be percentage sample clear in target date. Aging of sample, number of sample pending beyond target date. So this also gives you understanding that how many things remain unattended, and which is important from compliance as well as financial perspective. How when I'm saying it is financial perspective, that your vendor relationship may not be good with the company if you're not paying them in time, and if that is happening because of late dispositions from laboratory is. And how can compliance, say if say testing is started and your target date is that you will complete in 10 days or 15 days or 30 days and you are not completing it, there may be a possibility of a compliance issue also. Either the chemist who is conducting the testing or not able to take a decision on a something which is not appropriate, or some bad result, or some not so good result, or a borderline result. And another important thing, that your escalation mechanism in the laboratory management is also not working effectively. So this is what the meaning of aging and productivity comes out. Instrument failure rate, this is also one of the cause of increasing OS. So look at that, we should monitor, and it will also impact the productivity. So most of these metric are interrelated to compliance, productivity, and people. So that's what, when you choose a set of a metric, it should be very much clear that what we want to monitor. So in when we say instrument failure rate, it is impacting, the first is productivity, second is compliance. Incoming supplier quality also we can monitor. Rejection rate. Why rejection rates are important? Because rejection rates are giving you a understanding. Either it will increase your work through investigation, and it will also decrease the production efficiency of delivering a plan. Let's come on people. Training hour spent per person on mandatory GMP, on the job, SOP, STP training, or any behavioral training also, if some company believe that that is also a key and important, that is going to impact their business. Absenteeism is also impact productivity as well as compliance. So people should aware of what is the percentage, and they should have some understanding of correction. Error by person, overtime, this also have a link to productivity as well as compliance. Schedule hit and miss. Sorry. When we say product, it is CPK for CQAs. So process capability we should select as one of the parameter, and second is batch failure rate. Let us see calculation and methodology with some examples. I am not covering everything, but yes, of course, I am covering few examples to give you flair. When we monitor out of specification result, following elements with the metric shall be measured. So means we should further divide as we need them into further elements. OS rate, this is measured against the total number of tests conducted. Invalid OS rate, this is measured against total number of OS recorded. OS invalidation due to human error, this is measured against the number of invalidated OS. OS open beyond timeline, that is against the target timeline, which is 30 days. So these are the 4 examples. You can have furthermore. If you are linking the investigation OS separately, then that also can be done. And if you want to monitor OS by person, if you want to monitor OS by product, you can further add to it. So it all depends upon how detailed metric you want to monitor. So my always suggestion is start with the simple one, and then you go into the detailed one. So your data collection should be good enough to answer your all queries. Audit metric means inspection management. This one is important is on-time audit completion rate. So if you have a schedule, you have to meet the schedule of your audit, self-inspection or a regulatory inspection or a customer inspection. Number of non-conformances per area, we should monitor. That will give you understanding which area require a design change or a compliance focus. Percentage of non-compliance receiving follow-up via mitigation or corrective action. So this is also a very key to monitor them. Important aspect that and the following elements within the metric are measured for RMP, MFG, IP stability in microvolley sample, and you can add to swab samples or water samples or any sample you want to do, including the process validation samples or product development samples. So now, very important that what you monitor. So this stat can be done in terms of number of samples as a complete, or if you want a very detailed understanding, then you can measure it as number of tests also. You always have to link what your business require. Production department require your finished goods release. He do not want to listen that how many essays you have completed and how many RS you have completed. They are more interested in how many batches you have cleared in per day. So when you are similarly aging, so again for some companies looking at their payment understanding and norms, if they are okay with 60 days, you can design that for 60 days aging. Or if they are not good enough, but for production scheduling, you will have a different timeline. And for overall aging, you require a different timeline. And then number of samples and tests completed by analysts, that will give you understanding of how your chemists are effectively working. You can have a TAT defined for your reviewers. You can also have your TAT defined for your QA persons. It is not that only QC requires this productivity and efficiency TAT understanding. What company require? Company is more interested number of batch went outside the factory or to the market. So if QC clears but QA do not clear, or if sample testing happens on time but review of the test report is not happening time, or if testing happens on time but sampling won't happen on time, if sampling happens on time but testing won't happen on time. So this will not solve your problem. Basically, this require a cross-functional discussion, and that is what you need, somebody who is expert on the data, where GXP font can help you. Basic and logically speaking, but as a standard guideline, I tell you guys that if you have to start with some metric, do not start just that my sister company is having this standard, so I will put them straight. Or I have worked in my earlier company, there those standards were there, the same standard I will put it here. No, it will not work. It will fail. So what is required to be done? First of all, we should look at what is a current status. And current status, you should not look at 15 days data. You should at least take 6 months to 1 year data. And before doing that, you also define your boundaries of data and what you want to achieve. Otherwise, there is no fun in collecting a data and getting something which is not rational to the thinking process or expectation of a management. So once you have a data, then you identify what is your turnaround time for raw material, packing material, finished product, and IP. It is very critical, that is from the date of receipt you are calculating or date of sampling you are calculating. For a company, date of receipt to date of release is important. For QC, people say that when we receive a sample in lab, that time is very important. So you have to, one is that every department will show they are performing well, but company is not performing well. So we have to think through very differently when we are defining these metrics, that we should think about business and company when we are deciding metric, and totality we should define a metric. If you are not achieving that metric, yes, of course, we can further investigate and do the deep down studies and find out where we require improvement, and then that is what the opportunity for continuous improvement. Same thing, number of tests and number of samples done by chemists. So I'm just giving you this as a industry norm, and do not follow the industry norm. You may have, but there are pros and cons of this understanding also. As a standard 1 to 1.2 is quite acceptable. Now, if somebody is saying that I have a ratio of 4 for finished product sample testing complete by a chemist in a day, or somebody says I have a zero point 0.1, both are not acceptable, because somebody who is having some company who is having a ratio of 4 samples finished good testing complete testing to the reporting, not possible by a chemist, practically not possible. So you have to see that if you are achieving more than target, and a target which is not possible, which will also give you a understanding that there is a possibility that some non-compliances are happening, or somebody is skipping the test, or somebody is not following the STPs and SOPs correctly. Similarly, if you have got a very less ratio of number of sample per chemist, so there also can be multiple issues to note, whether a efficiency itself people do not take seriously, or people do not understand the expectation, or people are not capable, or your STPs and processes are not defined clearly, or your lab management itself is not good enough. Chemists are wasting their time in collecting instrument and documents instead of doing testing. Let us see the next product. So I will suggest that, and this is very debatable issue, that in a industry like generic industry, what we have, whether we, because CPK and CP are not required by any agency, and being a process related industry, whether we are able to achieve that particular sigma level is always a questionable. But if you will not monitor, you will not know what is the status of your product. And FDA also tell you that this is voluntary, not a regulation. Guideline says it is a voluntary, and they may not ask you the data in detail if you do not want to show them. So they were, it is mandatory the metric which they are asking, but you can have additional metric for your own improvement and continuous development plan. So I will suggest to start with the key CQAs, assay, impurity, dissolution, or depending upon the trend analysis, if you find even the moisture is a problem in some of the tablet or oral doses or some other product, you can add moisture, pH, hardness, or anything else for measurement. And you should see that if you are having one more than 1.33, it's good. Otherwise, it is also, you should also be okay if you are getting 1 to 1.33, but if you are getting less than 1, certainly you require to focus that particular product metric. When these are all general metric we are talking about, but when we are understanding the FDA perspective, FDA understand, and we also understand, that the basic non-compliances are coming or increasing in any plant due to the non-robustness of the product. So if a product is not robust, it can cause you more deviation, it can cause you more OS, it can cause you more failures, and it can cause you more repeats. So it will also impact the efficiency and productivity. So please focus on that clearly. And this is just one example. And if you go in detail, you can have six-pack analysis, statistical analysis of your product parameter to have a very better understanding whether you require a design change or you require a process change. So very interesting topic of life cycle product management, which is always near to my thinking process understanding, and we can spend some more time on some other day. But yes, of course, to start with, we can start monitoring capability index. Let us see that scope of why, that is what the question I am raising a couple of times during my presentation. Scope of using quality metric. Why we should use quality metric? So what company should intend to, or what people should intend to? Establish a signal detection program as one factor in identifying products that may pose significant risk to consumer. As I explained in last slide, this is very critical and important factor. Improve the effectiveness of the inspections. How it can be improved? Because if you yourself know your gaps, if you yourself know your compliance understanding, efficiency understanding, you either you have already take the some actions, or you are in process of taking those inspections, which is very much appreciated by any of the external or external inspectors, auditors. So this will also improve your effectiveness, because most of the questions which normally inspectors want to see, those will be ready with you, with the data and with corrective actions on that. So it will effectively improve the effectiveness of the inspection. Have the continuous product and system quality improvement. So this also gives you opportunity that you get continuously, either it is a design issue or a process issue or what kind of issue it is, you can always have system quality improvement. And in the end, it will, if you improve everything, certainly it will improve the overall productivity, and your cost of quality will be minimum when you have performance measurement and its review in place in your operation unit. So that is what Peter Drucker says, what is measured improves, and that is what metric do. Thank you very much, friends, for listening me. I hope this is useful. And thank you very much. And I'm open for any questions from your side if it is there.